You know, Howie and Jimmy, we were talking really about the free agency moves of Tom Brady specifically last segment. Let's get into the big picture here. And you look at free agency around the NFL, it really is focused on the quarterbacks, maybe more this offseason than ever before. One guy who hasn't gone anywhere and won't go anywhere, Jimmy, is Dak Prescott. The Cowboys franchise tendered him. It'd be about $27 million if he signs it. But one, do you think that that's the long-term move? Do you think that this is just on hold to get him there, or do you think this is one of those, let's see improvement one more time?
I think that they'll get the deal done. I actually think it's a non-story. I mean, really, because they're going to hammer out a contract. They will eventually come to a number that they're going to be happy with, the Cowboys are going to be happy with, and Dak's going to be happy with. So again, I think it's a non-story. Dak Prescott will be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And not only will he be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys this year, he'll be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for many years to come. They'll get a contract done.
Howie, do you think it's a wait-and-see thing one more time, or agree with Jimmy?
No, I agree with Jimmy. I think the big question becomes, typically you would say, well, what numbers do we work off of? Well, maybe we work off the Wentz number and the Goff number, but we've got the new CBA and, the numbers are going to go up. And
exactly.
I think Dak and his representation are probably factoring that in. I agree with Jimmy. I think they have to get a deal done. Dak has kind of punched every box there is in terms of his performance down there. And, they're a talented group. I think it's a team that is poised to make a run. The only question becomes, how do you get the quarterback in place? And, you just signed the wide receiver Cooper for $100 million, I don't know, 60-something guaranteed. What's Dak's guarantee going to look like? That's the big question. What will the contract look like? It will probably set the market.
Well, I think it probably should. I mean, you look at it, they are stacked up to go now. They not only signed Cooper, they signed Gerald McCoy this offseason. And they go out there. They did lose Byron Jones, but, I mean, they're committing money to win now. This is not about 2 or 3 years from now, and it's so hard. If you have a quarterback, you got to try and keep them because they're too hard to find. And this is a guy who's never missed a start as a fourth-round pick, 40 and 24 overall. So, I mean, I agree.
Rock solid.
Yeah, great in the community, great in the locker room, that kind of guy. When you find him, again, it's too hard to let those guys go. And I'll start with you here on the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton. I guess Jameis Winston's kind of in the same boat. They're probably the two biggest names that are still out there at quarterback. We saw what Jameis did last year, led the league in passing, but also led the league in interceptions. Cam, we're at that stage of his career where we're kind of wondering, who is he? Do you think that's the reason he hasn't been either traded for or signed just yet?
I think one. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, I just think the big question here is he healthy?
Right.
How will you know this? Once a player starts having injuries, the percentage of those injuries go up each particular year, and he's had all kinds of ankle, leg, and so I think the injury thing is a big question. If he is 100% healthy, he's as good as any quarterback in this league. If he's 100% healthy, but I don't know if he's healthy.
And it kind of goes back, Howie, too, that right now the teams, they can't have their own doctors give a guy a physical because of the travel restrictions. So everybody has to kind of guess about health right now.
Well, I think Carolina didn't do him any favors by releasing him when they did. That's one. Two, I think everyone is waiting to see him. People just don't know. He's got the Liz Frank injury with the foot. He's had the shoulder worked on. And we've talked about it. There are a lot of quarterbacks in the league, like, for example, the guy in Arizona, Murray, and Russell up in Seattle, which have kind of redefined what we're looking for in quarterbacks. They're pocket quarterbacks, but they can also pick it up and move it. And, they get down very quick. They're like middle infielders. It's like sliding or picking up a ground ball. For Cam is a big man, and Cam cannot get down quickly. And Cam has... I don't know whether he plays like a running back a lot of times at 6'5", 250, and there's a lot of collisions, and those collisions pile up. And as Jimmy mentioned, once you start having those kinds of injuries, it's difficult to kind of, for a team right now to say, Well, that's the direction we're going to go in. We think we can get 3-4 solid years out of Cam, and he could be our franchise quarterback. It's really a guessing game right now as to where he is physically.
All right, so wherever Cam ends up, we'll find out whether he's a starter or backup. We know the same thing with Jameis Winston, probably going to be a backup somewhere, but maybe there's someone who'll give him a chance to start.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Lead the league in passing, and you don't have a job 2 months later.
But you know what?
At that? Oh, it's a Brady situation.
He's the same exact guy he was coming out of college. Dynamic talent, throws for a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns, on a very talented team. But the turnovers, it piles up, and it's kind of prophetic. It ends up kind of being a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And it's almost like
the other thing,
what you just said about Brady coming to Tampa. If you can just cut down on the turnovers, is not who makes the most good plays, as you like to say, but the fewest mistakes.
And the thing about it, Kurt, Jameis has had half a dozen coaches trying to get him out of that. So it's not like, okay, here comes a new coach and we'll be able to correct him. Bruce Arians couldn't correct him. Dirk Cutter, he couldn't correct him. He's had other coaches that have tried to get him out of that. And, for some reason, he still wants to force the ball down the field. And don't overlook this too. He had great receivers, and so he was willing just to throw it up, on a 50-50 ball because his receiver would get it. Well, he's not going to be able to do that somewhere else. So his turnovers might even be more at the new place.
Good point.
And then how old is he? What is he, 26? 26,
27 by the time the season starts, I think. I'd have to look it up to be exact.
Unbelievable.
So he's still young.
Unbelievable.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.